Hi everyone, this video is going to show you how to replace the laser lens deck in a PlayStation 4 Pro. The reason I'm replacing it is over the last few months, anytime I go to put a game in, it'll start making some strange noises like it's trying to read the disc, and I'll eventually get an unrecognized disc error. And like I said, it's been going on in the last few months. I'll show you real quick what it's doing. So, I'm going to put it in Call of Duty Black Ops 4. It's a clean disc. Listen for the noise. Okay, and then I eventually get this right here. Unrecognized disc. One way I've been able to bypass this, just to get by, is you go to put the disc in. As soon as it starts making the weird funky noise, I just tap pretty firm on the top, right above where the disc goes in, right above the disc drive. I just tap pretty hard a few times, and it'll eventually, you can hear the disc start spinning, and then I'm good to go. I can play the game. That's what's gotten me by the last few months, because I pulled this PlayStation apart, pulled the disc drive out of it a couple months ago, just to check it out and see if I could find anything wrong with it. Prior to that, I did some reading on the forums. People were saying you could rebuild the database, maybe a firmware update caused this. I rebuilt the database, didn't fix it. I was pretty skeptical of that fix anyway. But that didn't fix it, of course. Obviously, I've tried to clean the lens, stuck an air can in there and blew it all out. Didn't fix it. I've even set the PlayStation on its side and played it that way, and that seemed to actually work for about a week or so. I didn't have any problems, and then I started having problems. Started doing the same thing again. So I finally decided to pull it apart at that time a couple months ago. Pulled the laser drive unit out. There's rollers that will feed your disc in, and it's hard to explain, but I can show you whenever I get the laser unit out, whenever I get the disc drive unit out. There's a connecting rod that connects these two long rollers together, and sometimes this little rod can pop out of place and cause a similar issue to what we're having, but that's not our problem. I had already pulled it apart. Everything was intact. The rollers are clean, so I'm thinking the laser is bad itself, so we're gonna go ahead and replace that today, and I'll show you how it's done and hope that fixes it. Okay, so I've moved the PlayStation onto my island here, and I've got it upside down. I got it flipped over, and we're gonna look at the back side here. The first thing we're gonna do is remove the top and bottom cover. Before I do that, what we need to do is we're gonna pull this little cover off to your hard drive here. Okay, you're gonna see a screw here. You're going to remove that screw, and then you're going to slide your hard drive out, and that's all. You slide this whole bracket out to remove the hard drive, and then you're going to look here. You got a little screw here. You're going to need to remove that screw. You're going to have a sticker covering this screw and this screw. Once you remove that sticker, you can see the screws. Those are warranty stickers, so once you remove those stickers, your warranty is void, so... but that's what we're going to do, and then I'll show you how to remove the covers. Okay, so I got the screws removed, got the hard drive pulled out. I'm going to try and hold my phone at the same time while I'll show you how to remove the bottom cover. So it's kind of difficult, difficult to remove, so let's see if I can get this done while holding the phone. You're going to grab the corner back here. Remember, this is the back, and this is the bottom cover. Back of the PlayStation 4 bottom cover. Grab the corner and just lift up, and it'll unclick. It'll look kind of like that afterwards. And we're going to do the same thing on the other cover. Okay. And you've got these little tabs here and there. So you may have to pry those out with just to lift them. You got to lift them. It's kind of, let's see if I can do it here without a flat blade. Okay, so I didn't need a flat blade. The first time I pulled the cover off, I did stick a flat blade in there and pull probably those tabs just a hair. You gotta be careful with it. But you lift open the cover, and I'm gonna go ahead and pause this. Pause the video. I'll be back in a second. I can't do it with one hand. So. Okay, I'm back. So what you do is once you get that cover, here it is. Once you get it lifted, you're gonna slide it back, and then it comes off. So I'm gonna set that to the side, and this is the bottom side of the PlayStation. We're gonna flip it over, and I'm gonna go ahead and remove the top side. Be right back. Okay, so here's the top side. This is a little trickier than the bottom side, a little harder, I should say. You're gonna grab this side here. You're gonna grab a corner, and you're gonna grab a corner here, and it works the same way as the bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'll pause the video and do it, and I'll be back here in a minute once I get it off. But what you're gonna do is you can just put your palm on the top of the PlayStation. Put your fingers underneath here, and pull up. Do that on both sides, and once you've got those popped, you may have to pull pretty hard. It is kind of difficult to get those popped the first time. Even the second time in my case, they're kind of stuck on there pretty good. But once you get them pried up, you're going to lift up the top cover, and then you're going to slide it back, and it should come right off. Okay, so I've got the top cover removed here. So another tip, whenever you're pulling off that top cover, make sure you're pulling on the top cover and not on like the frame of the PlayStation. You don't want to break anything, so make sure you are actually pulling on the top cover, which is this here. So just kind of set on there just like so, sort of like that, and just pull it off. You can I'll kind of show you what it looks like in here. Let me get some better lighting here. You just got some clips you just got to undo. That's the back side of the top cover. You see, that's why you got to slide it back before it'll remove. Be back in just a second. Okay, I flipped the PlayStation back over to the bottom side here. And what we're going to do next is we're going to remove this metal plate. And what you'll see we've got to remove here is you've got some silver screws. You've got them all around. And then you've got black screws as well. We'll remove those. We're going to remove your your Wi-Fi antenna cables here, your ribbon connectors. Now these ribbon cables, they pull right out, except for this big wide one. There's a clip right here. You got to pop it up. Be gentle not to break it. You got to pop it up, and then it slides out. So just like that. But your other ones over here, like your smaller ones, they just slide right out. That first one, remember to pop it up and then slide out. And then whenever you put it back in, obviously you slide it in, make sure it's lined up, and then click that little tab back down right here. So I'll do that real quick. Oh, and on these little antenna cables, what you do is they click on. So I just grab it with my fingernail if I can. It's kind of hard. See if I can get it closer. I'm going to pause the video and I'll do that. It's hard for me to do it with one hand. I'll be right back. Okay, so once you get all these little screws out, and if you have a hard time remembering where they go, the silver screws, they go into plastic. Your little Phillips black screws go into metal. So it might be easier for you guys to remember. Real tiny little screws. So your silver goes into plastic, your black will go into metal. I got these off here. I kind of had to bend and pull them off. They're kind of a little tricky, but not bad though. And then this bottom cover you just remove like so, not tangled up in any connectors. And there is your motherboard, which is what we will be removing next. Here is your motherboard, which is what we'll be removing next. First thing we're going to do is remove this cover here. You get screws going around it. I'll do that real quick and be right back. Okay, so I've got all the screws out for this little cover here to the APU. So what you just pull that cover off, be gentle. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to remove this bracket. Oh, and also on this cover here, make sure all these are in place. You don't want your device overheating. They go on these little chips. You could see where they stick on, or where they rested, I guess you should say. Just make sure all those are in the right spot. You should be good to go. So we're going to go ahead and remove these four screws here, and then this bracket's going to come off. Okay, so I've got this clamp removed here with the 4 screws. What we're going to do next is we're going to, oh, don't forget this little connector right here. Let me pull that. Could have waited, but it's fine. I'll do it now, just so we don't forget. It's your fan connector. What you'll do is you've got this little spacer here. It may be in pretty good on this side, so if it is, you don't want to break it. Just leave it in there, but mine's already kind of loose, so I'm just going to get it out of the way. But if yours isn't stuck in there, just leave it. Be careful. What we're going to do is we're going to flip it over at this point. Just be real gentle. I wouldn't do this on carpet because you don't want to have any static buildup or anything and zap your motherboard. So just, I'm doing this on an island. You know, I'm not worried about static. I have concrete floors, so not too worried about static at the moment. Just don't do it on carpet. Be careful, and don't bang this around on anything. And I'll be right back. Okay, I've got it flipped back over here. What we're going to do, so we can remove the motherboard, first we have to remove the power supply. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, looks like 5 screws we're going to remove, and then it'll lift up, and you'll have one connector underneath it you have to remove, and then power supply will come out, and I'll show you that here in just a second. Okay, so I've got the 5 screws removed, and I removed the little metal plate as well. And once you do that, I had to stick a flat blade in on the edges just so I could get a grip of it. But once you get that pulled up, just kind of wiggle it and lift it up. Be real gentle. Don't lift it up all the way because you've got to try to point this phone down here so you can see what I'm talking about. You got a little connector right here. You just have to undo that, and then you've got your power supply out. And then what we'll do next is we're going to be very careful and flip it back over. Since we undid that X clamp, your motherboard's going to come right out. So whenever you flip it over, grab the underside and just kind of hold that motherboard in place. Make sure it doesn't fall out. It shouldn't. You should be okay, but just be careful flipping it over and make sure the motherboard doesn't fall out from the bottom of the PlayStation. I think you've got to, if I remember right, you've got to slide the motherboard one direction and then lift up, so it shouldn't fall out on you, but be careful since we got the power supply out. And why you got to remove that is, if you look here on your power supply, you get this little rectangular spot right here. Well, you got these connectors that go in it. You got these little pins that fit down in there. So that's why and that goes to your motherboard. So that's why you got to pull this out first. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, yeah, be careful when you flip it back over. This motherboard will try to fall out since we removed that X clamp. You might be able to leave that. You'd probably be able to leave that in place until you pull the power supply out, and then flip it over, remove that X clamp, and then that way it doesn't fall out of position. Then go ahead and remove it. But what you're going to do is you're going to make sure you don't get tangled up. Make sure you don't get tangled up on any of these cables here. You're going to lift it up like so. You're going to slide it out and then lift up. And the reason you got to slide it is you've got all these connections. You got to slide it out away, then up. Just be real careful. I'm going to set this on my kitchen table, so don't set it on the floor or on carpet or anything will touch it. Put it here with the rest of the parts that we've got. Actually, I'm going to flip it over. Be really gentle with that. So this is what I've got going on here so far. and I'll be right back. Okay, another thing on your motherboard, you're going to see your APU here with thermal paste. Sometimes, you notice over time it'll get all brittle and everything, so if you have any extra thermal paste on you might clean that off and apply some more. I don't have any on me. Mine's not too bad. It's wet still, so I'm going to leave mine. And then coming back over here, you've got your heat sink where you can see where that thermal paste is. And then you've got thermal tabs right here. So make sure all those are, mine's kind of crooked. Make sure those are all on there so you don't have any overheating issues. And what we're going to do next is remove this cover. And you've got a heat sink on the other side of it. I believe it's 2 screws, one there and one there. I think that's it. And then this whole bracket assembly, this whole plate will come up. So I'll do that and be right back. Okay, got that lifted out of here. If you flip it over, you're going to see your heat sink here. It's probably a good idea to take some canned air and blow it through there and make sure it's all nice and clean. I did that last time. I pulled it out a couple months ago, so it doesn't look too bad right now, but it's a good idea to go ahead and do that. Make sure it's all clean. I'm going to set that to the side for now. And what we have next here is your disk drive and your fan. So if you want, you can take your canned air in here and you can clean that fan out while we've got it down this far. But what we're going to remove next is your disk drive assembly, and I'll show you how to do that. I'll be right back. Okay, I've already removed the screws to pull the disk drive out, and what you're going to look for to remove it is get a little black screw down there, you get a silver screw down here, a silver screw right there, and a silver screw. Thought I had another, I believe I had another silver screw over there. I had 3 silver screws and a black screw. So you'll remove those, and then this whole assembly will lift out. Kind of tricky here, so bear with me. Okay, so I grabbed a hold of it and just lift it on out. And this is what we're working with today. This is your disk drive. We're gonna remove the cover on it, and I'll show you how to pull the lens deck out, which is the part that we're actually replacing. So set this here, and I'll get my tools and I'll be right back. Okay, so we got the laser unit, or the disk drive unit laying here. So what we're going to need to do is, I'll show you this flat ribbon cable. I've got you can see the green mark, it's just a pin I marked. The reason I did that is because the sticker is attached to this ribbon cable. We need to peel this away, this white sticker, you need to peel it away from the ribbon cable. You gotta be gentle to not damage the ribbon cable, but whenever we go to reapply the sticker, I want it to line up right where we had it before. So I just marked with a pin so I know how far where to put that sticker exactly. So I'm gonna peel that sticker away from it. Probably get the sticker kind of folded over itself, get the ribbon cable completely out of the, off the sticker, completely off the sticker there. I'm gonna remove this cable, this little flat ribbon cable here. Be real careful with it. You can see it goes behind here. We're gonna disconnect it from there, or get it away from this little pin, and then we're going to remove your silver screws you see on top, and we're going to remove this black cover. So that's what I'll do real fast here. I'll remove the screws and the sticker and the cable, and I'll show you what I'm doing. Be right back. Okay, so I've got the sticker. I just rolled it back here, pulled it away from there. You get this little ribbon cable. It's stuck on with this sticker. You can just peel it off. Got the screws out. So sorry for the camera angle at the moment. There we go. Grabbed a hold of it. So all you gotta do is get it out of the way. And then what we're gonna do is, here's your lens, or your laser lens block assembly. We're gonna get on here. We're gonna lift this up. We just gotta remove this flat ribbon cable. just like so. So got it flipped up. Get that out of the way. So that covers out of my way here, and it doesn't look like there's any screws holding this in. This is what we're replacing. Let me just grab it. There it goes. Yeah, okay. Okay. So there it is. That's what we're replacing. I'm going to grab the new one, and I'll be right back and I'll show you. Okay. So this is the old one. This is a new one. The new one did not come with the ribbon cable. I went ahead and swapped it over already. You just pull it out and push it into the new one. Just be sure not to touch your laser out here. So all you got to do you just got to put it right back in. Make sure you're. Actually, we got one other thing. It looks like I didn't see until now. You got these little rubber. I don't know what you want to call them. Little rubber grommets. You got to swap these over. I think that's just to secure it in place. Looks like they go on these little pins here, so when the lasers were reading the disc and it's spinning, you know, there's not a lot of vibration. I mean, that's the only thing I can assume that's for. So this doesn't vibrate as it's working, just to keep the noise down. So we're going to swap these over to the new unit and slide it right back in the way we pulled it out. Okay, so we got the new laser in there. You know, make sure they're all secured on these pins, and then we're just going to put the cover back on. Be careful with your ribbon cable, and we'll screw it back down. The screws we removed, and reapply the sticker. You know, line it back up with the pin mark you made if you did that, and we will be right back. Okay, so I've got the screws back in. I've got the ribbon cable reattached, and I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to show you another problem that could be the culprit to the issue you're having. While I'm down this far, you know, if it's not your laser assembly, you could have a problem. I'll show you in just a second. Okay, so I've got it flipped over here. I went ahead and removed the screws. You've got a little silver screw here and another one right there. I went ahead and removed them, these little screws, and this cover you lift up and you pull it off. So you don't have to do this if you're sure it's your laser assembly giving you issues, but it's something to check if you've already got it apart for whatever reason, or you just don't want to spend the $35 for the laser lens deck. You know, first thing you can check before you blow your money on that is you've got these two rollers. Okay, these are what feed your disc in. You see it's ran by this gear over here. Well, anyways, these two rollers are connected to each other by this little white plastic piece here. I'm not sure what it's called. It's almost like an axle for tires. You know, it's almost like an axle. It connects the two. Well, what can happen on them, I've seen before, is it'll pop out of position on one side or both sides, you know, and this will be laying down in there, or, you know, only this side will have drive. But that can be your problem sometimes. So you can check that before you spend $35 for the new laser lens deck. But if that's not the case, it's probably your laser lens deck. So I'm going to go ahead and put this cover back on and reassemble everything just the way I took it apart. So I'll be back here in just a little while. Okay, one quick thing here. Whenever I pulled this disk drive unit out, I told you about the screws you got to remove to get it out. I'd already removed them when I started the video, but what I was trying to tell you earlier was you've got a silver screw here, silver screw here, silver screw here, and your black screw is actually there. I may have told you backwards. The black screw's not down there, it's actually up there. But that's all. Okay guys, about to finish up the video, or at least try it out anyway. I got it all back together. Got it plugged in, didn't have any problems turning it on. So I'm gonna go ahead and put Call of Duty back in it again, and we'll listen see how it sounds and see if it reads the disc. Okay, looks like it fixed it. You could hear the disc spin up, and there you can see. We'll go ahead and start it. Looks like we're good to go. So there's your fix, guys. Like I said, I'll go ahead and put the links to the lens deck assembly. I'll put the link to that in the description. It's just a $35 part I bought off Amazon. It actually came with a little screwdriver that you need to pull the PlayStation apart. So that was pretty handy. So that may be your problem if your lens isn't dirty or your disc isn't scratched, or if those little rollers, the little axle for those rollers isn't popped out of place. But if your PlayStation's making that noise, it's probably time to replace that lens deck. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope it helps somebody out, and you'll have a great day.